I almost passed out riding this coaster, but it is so much fun. What's up guys, Dr. Coaster here and welcome back to another coaster review on the channel. Today we'll be breaking down Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. For those that don't know already, these coaster reviews don't follow a super strict format, but I do take into account all aspects of the ride and its overall experience, and then rate it out of 10. Before we get started with the review, if you haven't already, then go ahead and drop the video a like, as it helps me fight the YouTube algorithm. And subscribe to the channel as well for more roller coaster and theme park content just like this. Goliath opened to the public in April 2006, and it's been thrilling its riders with loads of airtime and intensity ever since. I rode Goliath for the first time in the summer of 2021, and it was my first B&M Hyper that I'd ever ridden. I haven't ridden enough coasters to proclaim my favorite model just yet, but the B&M Hyper is definitely in contention. I've currently only ridden Mako and Goliath, but I have plans to add several more of these hypercoasters and Gigas this year. Let's start off with the name, Goliath. Yeah, I know. But it is a fitting name for a tall coaster. However, overused. Quite a bit. As far as theming goes, the name and height is about all you're going to get. That, and I guess, twinning color schemes with its California Giovanola brethren, if you're into that. However, that really doesn't change the experience of Goliath one bit. So now that we've got the negativity out of the way, let's get into this ride's layout. Like most B&M Hypers, Goliath stands at a height of 200 feet tall, and features a first drop of just 170 feet, leading many to debate whether this is a true hypercoaster or not. My opinion? Who cares? This ride is a ton of fun, and that's all that matters. Coming off of that first drop, you're going to get some great floater airtime. I personally think it's stronger in the back than in the front, but it's not a huge difference. If you like the wind in your face, sit up front. It's a lot of people's favorite seat. If you're after every ounce of airtime possible, then go ahead and sit in the back. The weight is typically shorter there anyway. While the first drop isn't the tallest and the angle of descent also isn't very steep, I still can't complain about the execution and how the ride performs here. You get good airtime, and that's all I can ask for. Following the first drop, Goliath wastes no time, sending you straight into another set of airtime moments. You're going to crest over 2 camelbacks while also reaching your top speed of the ride. Pulling up into these is where you definitely start to notice the rattle in this thing. For me, it personally doesn't bother me very much on Goliath. It's noticeable, sure, but this ride is so insane I kinda just forget about it. At the same time that you may notice the rattle, you're going to start to really float out of your seat. Those B&M clamshell restraints and the ops on this ride are super forgiving, and it gives excellent freedom. So you really go flying through these 2 airtime hills. After cresting the second camelback, you see it. The 540-degree double helix. Easily the most intense moment in the park, let alone Goliath itself. If you ride this coaster on a hot day with a full train, this element pulls over 4 sustained Gs. If you're an intensity junkie, this will be your favorite moment on the ride. I would prefer a different turnaround, but I respect it. This is where Goliath differs from any other B&M Hyper, which typically focus on grace versus intensity. At the bottom of this helix is where I consistently gray out and have come very close to blacking out a couple of times when the train is hauling. What I failed to previously mention is that this entire sequence takes place outside the park, flying over the road in front of the entrance and even hugging the water heading into the helix, making for a beautiful setting. Following the double helix, if your vision has returned, you'll see the trim brake, which barely hits at all, and then you'll go through yet another camelback, still providing a great moment of floater. It's at this moment that Goliath takes on an entirely different personality. From this point on, the focus of the ride starts to shift. Say goodbye to that floater airtime and say hello to ejector. Goliath returns riders back to the park with a barrage of bunny hills. With the earlier ones, you might catch a pop of floater airtime on the way up and then get slammed back down into your seat. By the last few hills, you're just getting launched as if this ride was an RMC. As you pull into the brakes, nah, scratch that. As you flip and get yeeted into the brakes, you're forced to question what the heck just happened and if that was really a B&M Hyper that you just rode. And I'm serious about the brakes. You might want to brace yourself. It honestly rivals Great American Scream Machine sometimes. But that last turn and the first hit of the brakes will make you laugh instead of cry. What a ride. Overall, Goliath is an absolute behemoth of a coaster, and it truly rides like a raging bull. If it was more re-rideable and didn't drain me after only a few rides, I'd give this thing an easy 10 out of 10. But it'll have to settle for a much respected 9, putting itself firmly in the top 10 coasters that I've ridden. Thank you all for watching. That was my review of Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. my first B&M Hyper coaster. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a like, and subscribe for more roller coaster and theme park content just like this. With that said, if you want even more content, I'm also over on Instagram, where you can follow me at Dr_Coaster. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.